So hello everyone from Green-Mopeds in London. So today we're going to look at the new Caofen F80. This is the road legal version. There's an off-road version as well. And we've put it next to a couple of bikes that are loosely in the same category. We've got a road legal Artisan ES1S Pro. We're showing you that because it's sort of similar in size and things like that. And you can't talk about sort of these sorts of bikes, this style of bike, sort of pseudo on-road, off-road, without the elephant in the room, which is surron. So this is the off-road Light B, surron Light B, 2023. Could be the road legal version, could also really be a talaria in terms of the comparison. So we'll do what we normally do, go around the bikes, talk about them, and hopefully that'll help you make an informed decision. So let's get to it. So, as I said, this market is becoming a little bit crowded with these on and off-road looking bikes. If you just rattle through them, there is surron, obviously, talaria, Caofen, Artisan less so going forward. You've got RFN as well, which is now coming over. Super Socco are doing what is called their on and off R bike, which is basically the Caofen in a different badge. So there's getting an increasing amount of bikes to look at and choose from. So we're just lining these three up, but we could have put the F80 next to a Surron Ultra B, which we'll be doing a review of shortly. Talaria R, road legal, which is coming shortly. I'm not sure about the on R and off R from V-Moto, but as I said, you have to sort of navigate through these bikes now to work out which one is for you. Okay, so let's just compare these three, but there's probably 5 or 6 to compare them to be honest. So surron, the sort of household name of these sort of on and off-road bikes. Okay, thousands have been sold. This happens to be the road off-road version, so not legal on the roads, although not many people seem to care about that. You can tell that by the fact it's got no indicators. This is a speedo, which is not road legal. This light is not road legal. No rear lights at all, etc., as in no indicators and things like that. But it is the one that people think of by default for this sort of style of bike. And Surron do make different bikes now. They used to just do this one. There's now the Storm B, the Ultra B, the S, which is actually, I think, the new name for the youth. So there's quite a few in there line up. Talaria, which is a sort of direct competitor to surron. They have their standard talaria, which is pretty much the same as a surron Light B. They've now got the R, which is coming now, bit more powerful. That has a road legal version. Today they've now also bringing out something called the X3, which is also coming. So yeah, quite a lot of bikes in that category. On the sort of bigger size bikes, which is a reason to show you it next to a surron, you would have something like the RFN, which is available now. The Ultra B is probably the most compatible to, or competitive to a Caofen, more powerful, but in this sort of road legal style, possibly the best comparison if you're going to go for a bigger size bike. So if you look at along the bikes, you can see why I say that. So down here, I'm not sure if you can tell, but the surron is very lightweight, small, lower seat height. Probably see that quite obviously here. Okay, very popular. Whereas the Caofen has got more of a comfy seat, although it's still only made for one. The surron is made for one, of course, but the ES1S is actually made for 2. Okay, as you can see, if you sort of look across the seats, actually, smaller, quite big. Okay, so they're making it quite a comfortable bike, I have to say. We have had some feedback about the seat on this bike, but the Caofen seat, nicely padded, quite big, etc., etc. If you look down the backs, so you've got this, which can take a rack, quite a long mudguard there, in fact maybe too long for what it's needed, and then sort of minimalistic on the old surrons. Okay, but let's go to the fronts now. So as you can see, Caofen and ES1S fully road legal, so that is a proper road legal light. Indicators and all that sort of good stuff. When we look down the wheels, so one of the things that is becoming increasingly popular, I suppose, is to have different front and rear sizes. Okay, so this is a 19-inch front wheel, that's 19-inch, this is 19-inch, but at the back on the Caofen, it's 18 on the road legal. On their off-road bike, it's only 16. Okay, different tooth size on the sprocket, made for more sort of torquey and acceleration on the off-road bike. Surron don't do that on their light Bs, same size front and back, and obviously the ES1S, which does have off-road wheels available, which make them 21-inch wheels. But one of the first things to highlight as a difference between them is, as you can see here, it's got regen, and it's also got ABS. Okay, so you can see from this part of the disc here. So it's got ABS, which is, well, as far as we do, that's only the second bike that we do that has ABS. So all the 125cc bikes now have to have either ABS or CBS, combined braking, so it brakes on the front and rear wheels together. So they've gone down the ABS route, but you can turn it off if you really want to. Okay, so that's a good thing. Profile of the tyres, sort of chunky, bit less I would say. They maybe could have thought about giving it a bit more of a chunky tyre. That's their choice. One of the big things that Caofen talk about is actually this frame. So it's a single piece frame, okay? And what they talk about is it's very rigid, okay? So if you think about other bikes where you've got, you know, like the subframe bolted on and all that sort of stuff, like on here, their argument is that because the way the frame is made, it's a lot more rigid and therefore better at surviving the abuse that it's possibly going to be put through, especially in the off-road version. Okay, all right, that's there. The reason I say you'll be able to spot the V-Moto on R and off R is that although it won't have this, it will have this, and that's how you tell. Okay. As another aside, actually, Horwin were going to bring out in the UK something called an HT5, I think it was, which is this bike again, rebadged. Anyway, so one of the other things to highlight is how the power is transmitted to the rear wheel. Okay, so you've got your sprocket, and then on the Caofen, you see it's direct. There's the motor, there's the chain, you can see the sprocket in there just about, directly to the rear sprocket. Okay, same as on the ES1S. On the Surron, you actually have two stages. You have your chain here going into your smaller sprocket, then it transmits across, and then you have a pulley. Okay, so this pulley has obviously got a belt that then goes into the motor, and obviously potentially two places where or an extra place where this whole system could fail. If that pulley belt goes, doesn't matter what the chain's doing, it's not going to go anywhere. This is one of the things that Talaria changed when they brought out their first bike, is they got rid of this pulley system. Okay, because one, you're transmitting power twice, and two, it's potentially a weak link. Okay, so something to highlight. On the Caofen, as I said, direct. On the ES1S, also direct. Okay, so let's talk about batteries. So the 2023 model, which this is, has got an uprated 60 volt, 40 amp hour battery. Okay, so that is 2.4 kilowatt hours of capacity. Okay, removable though. On the ES1S, it's got removable batteries too, and two of them. Okay, so in terms of range, the ES1S should win out, simply because it's got more of it, although it has got the most power. Okay, but on the Caofen, it's fixed, and we're in London, and most of the time people want removable batteries. Again, it's not right or wrong, it's just the way it's been done. The reason you have a fixed battery is more likely because you can put more capacity into it. Okay, so on the F80, we've gone away from the 60 volt, which is on the surrons, to 72 volt. Okay, so more power, and we've also gone from 40 amp hours on the surron to 48 amp hours on the Caofen. Okay, so you just have to do the maths on that. So as I said, 60 by 40 is 2.4, 72 by 48 is 3.4. Okay, so on paper, if everything else was equal, the Caofen must go further. Okay, if everything else was equal, simply because it's got a kilowatt hour more of capacity. Okay, and you can see here that it's quite a lump. Okay, all of this, you charge it through there. Actual to start the bike, you have to press this button here, and then you use the fob. It's keyless, there's no key on this bike at all. But as I said, in terms of capacity, it will have more than the surron. Okay, so we're talking 3.4, as I said. Having said that, it doesn't mean that the charging time is necessarily that much longer. So you can fully charge this bike in 3 hours, okay, which is pretty good. I mean, to charge a Super Socko CPX battery is 3.5 hours, and that's using a 15 amp charger. So it is pretty fast at doing the charging. Okay. So going around the bike a bit more. If we look at the rear shock, for example, you see on the surron that the shock is at 45 degrees, as is on the on-road version of the F80. That's fine. We're not saying it's a problem. But what you do get is that if you have a vertical shock, you get stronger resistance. So on the ES1S, see, you've actually gone almost a bit far the other way. It's gone a bit, what's that, about 10 degrees off of vertical. The reason I mention this is because if you look at the off-road Caofen, it is a vertical shock. Okay, it's also a smaller back wheel, 16-inch. Okay, different size sprocket. But they do that to give it more strength when you're going over jumps and things like that. Okay, obviously as a road legal bike, you probably won't be doing that, and therefore that's why they chose that design. Okay, not right or wrong, just different. Okay, so to actually show you the dashboard. Right, so one thing to say is, it is, I mean, is it too high? I mean, I'm 6'1", 185. As you can see, my legs are, I'm not on tiptoes or anything like that. Okay, it is quite a high seat though, especially if you compared it to the surron. The ES1S, that's also been quite a high seat. But let's look around the dashboard. So one thing to note is there is a sort of doubling up of information a bit about when you come to modes. So this S, not flashing, actually corresponds to mode 1. The way you change modes is to press the ES button. So now it's flashing, it corresponds to mode 2. Okay? And then if you press it again, flashing faster corresponds to mode 3. Okay? Whether you need both indicators, I'm not sure. So around here, you've got neutral or drive, so that's in and out of ready. Then you can turn on and off regen. Okay, so that's that light there. Okay, so that's that one. And then you can turn on and off what they call entertainment mode. Okay, entertainment mode is actually the ABS, or traction control, as they put it, but it's entertainment mode. Right, so that means, you know, you're basically unbridling the brakes, and you'll be able to wheel spin in donuts and all that sort of stuff. Whether you want to do that is a different matter. Okay, but that's that one there, the entertainment mode button, as they call it. Okay, and then on this side you've got standard stuff, lights. Unfortunately, indicators are silent, and you've got to center them yourself. Okay, and then you've got your horn. All right, so in some respects quite a busy dashboard, flashing lights and things like that. Not wrong, but just the way they've done it. Then you've got your brake chambers here. Okay, and one thing you thought they could have done was make them actually clear, but they aren't, they're solid. So you'll be working out when you actually have to change your brake fluid. Okay, that's that. Just as a comparison, on the ES1S, you've got that's your total capacity, whether you're using 1 or 2 batteries. So even if I had 1 battery in there and it was 80% charged, it would say 80%. This is total capacity of both, miles, and et cetera, et cetera. You've got different modes, eco, sport, and drive, which you change through this button here. One of the interesting things about this bike is because you can put off-road wheels on it, they go from 19 to 21-inch wheels. And obviously if you do that, you have to then reprogram the dash to accept I'm now going faster every revolution, and therefore you have to get the dash to reflect that. Okay? So hopefully that was helpful there. In terms of colours, surrons come in various colours, blues, reds, etc., etc. Caofens come in this colour, black. There is actually in China a red one, but we're only getting black. And ultimately, what is the price? I'm sure you're interested in that. So, bog standard surron, like that one, 4,700, 47 miles an hour, 6 kilowatts, 30 mile range is realistic. On the Caofen, 8 kilowatts, 56 miles an hour on the road legal version, 53 miles an hour on the off-road version. The road legal version, because it's gone through homologation, etc., is 6,000. The off-road version, same battery capacity performance, battery capacity, battery voltage, but less capacity, smaller size wheels, is 5,500, and that's 53 miles an hour. Okay, so 6,000 for the road legal, 5,500 for the off-road. Okay, and the next sort of competitor up in terms of this sort of size and style is probably actually the Surron Ultra B, which, although has more power and goes a bit faster, is this sort of style. That's 6,700. Okay, so you're getting into this sort of area now where these bikes are getting over 6,000. But that's the way it is. If you want the latest technology and you want clever things like ABS, clever battery, more range, that's the sort of prices that you're looking at. Okay, this bike, road legal, is on the grant as well. So the 6,000, the RRP is actually 6,499, and you get the £500 off, which makes it 5,999. But that gives you 3 years warranty on that battery, 2 years warranty on the bike. Okay. So hopefully some of that has been useful. If you want to have a test ride, please contact us. If you need any questions answered, then you can contact us through the YouTube channel, Green-Mopeds. We're on Twitter, Instagram, etc., email, phone, and hopefully that will help you in your research. So thanks very much.